And we're live. Awesome. I would like to thank all of you for joining us today. We have an incredible opportunity to get to know one of our special guest speakers at the upcoming Energy Healing Conference. And I personally have been wanting her to speak for, I don't know, I would say since probably 2018. That's when I very first came across her information. This is Wendie Colter, and she is the amazing owner of the Practical Path. For those of you who have been wondering about what medical intuition is, I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised with today's guest. And please feel free to ask any questions in the comments and engage with us as well. She is very happy to answer those questions, I'm sure. So we'll be bringing her on in just a moment. She's got a whole bunch of letters behind her, alphabet letters behind her name. I'm going to let her explain a little bit more about what those are. She is the founder and CEO of the Practical Path, presenting accredited certification programs for medical intuition for wellness professionals and for the public. She is a certified medical intuitive practitioner, master certified wellness coach, and the president of the National Organization for Medical Intuition, also known as NOMI. She is an invited speaker and educator at prominent integrative healthcare organizations and universities, and she's really a trailblazer in her research. It's been published in the peer-reviewed Journal of Integrative and Complementary Medicine, and she is the author of the groundbreaking and multiple award-winning book called Essentials of Medical Intuition: A Visionary Path to Wellness, which is done by Watkins Publishing and Penguin Random House, which is so exciting. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Wendie Colter. How are you?
Hi, Tammy. Hi, everyone. I'm doing great today.
I am so honored to have you here. Thank you so much for kind of squeezing us into your schedule here this year.
Thank you for having me. And I know you said 2018. That just made me laugh. That's true. We've been in contact for a long time. I am thrilled to be coming to the conference this year. So excited about it. We'll have a booth too, which is really fun. People can find out more.
That's awesome. Yeah. And your booth is actually one of the very first ones. So right when they walk into the main vendor hall, you're right there. So they should be able to find you pretty easily.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and start off with what is medical intuition, because there might be people that are watching right now that don't even know what that is. I'll let you go ahead and start with that.
Well, when I talk about medical intuition, it's actually a good idea to start with what it isn't, right? Medical intuition is actually not an intervention. It's not a healing modality or an energy healing modality, although we work with the biofield. So it's not a treatment. It's not a modality. What it is an assessment skill that can be used, excuse me, can be used by anyone for yourself or for your clients or patients. And it's an assessment of the physical body, the physiology, and the anatomy of the body, as well as the biofield, which is, of course, the auric field, the chakra system. And when you get a good look at it, what I do is I query the body, I query the biofield, I ask questions, and it's a dialogue between me and my conscious awareness and my clients' energy systems and their physical systems. So you can get a lot of information that way, and that information can be extremely helpful for people to find their paths to healing.
Awesome. Yeah. I love how you said it's a dialogue. That just really kind of speaks to me. I love that so much. Okay, so the next question I have for you is what is the benefit of medical intuition in healthcare?
Well, you can use your imagination and think, what would happen if you went to your doctor and either they were a medical intuitive or they had a medical intuitive on staff? One of the things that we've found over the research that I've done for the book is that there is a lot of issues in healthcare with people who have trouble getting a good diagnosis, right? It's healthcare issues that are mysterious, healthcare issues that defy treatment. These are typically the kinds of people that medical intuitives will see, the tough cases. And what medical intuition can do is get to the root causes of these issues, ask the body what it's wanting. I have a lot of people who deal with long COVID, and years ago I had people who dealt with Lyme disease and chronic fatigue as well. Things that are not easily treatable by Western medicine, and even sometimes by complementary and integrative medicine as well. So medical intuition looks at it in a number of ways. It looks at it obviously from the physical. We want to know what's happening. That's the medical and medical intuition. But we also want to look at where this began, life history. Why did something manifest in the first place? That's a really big question, right? Because it hits not only on physical, but also emotional, mental, and spiritual root causes. And that kind of information can be really profound for clients and for patients in terms of becoming an advocate for their own bodies, becoming an advocate for their own health, and realigning with their own body's awareness.
Yeah, this sounds powerful,
It is,
honestly.
yes, it really can be. Yes.
Yes. Now I want to just tell you about a brief experience that I had. It was a dialogue that happened with my own body yesterday morning. I mean, I've been doing all this stuff for the conference and everything, like sometimes 12 hours with my eyeballs on screens, getting everything ready each day. And yesterday, I just felt like I really just needed to sleep in, which is so counterintuitive if you have a lot of things to do, right? And when I woke up, literally, I felt like my body was saying, "Thank you. Thank you for the sleep." I mean, it was just something so simple, but sometimes we like disconnect, right, from our body. Like we try and like not talk to the body because there's pain or whatever. So I
Oh,
love how
yes.
you described that. It was just so beautiful. So
Yeah, you're right on, Tammy. We're not taught at all, at least in our society, that we actually can have a relationship with our bodies that isn't one way. Right? Most
yeah.
of the time we say, "Okay, get up, do this, go work out, work, work, work." I'm the same way, and we don't listen, and we're not really taught to listen, and what can happen, of course, is the body can just have, break down or have enough or develop some issue or, something can happen that can really throw you off, and it it generally seems like it's coming out of the blue.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect that, right? Or
Yeah.
some people who have chronic issues, have trouble releasing that, what's going on in the in all aspects. So bravo to you for listening to your body. That is right on. And that honestly, to me, that is the crux. That is the point of this wonderful word we use called self-care.
Yeah.
What is self-care? For some people, self-care means going to the gym and working out, which is of course important, but what if your body's tired? What if it doesn't want that for that moment? What if it wants just to cuddle, on your bed with the pillow, like you say, or
Yeah.
or just take a break?
Mhm.
One of the things I teach here is a self-study workshop, and I've taught it live before, called Medical Intuition for Healing and Self-Care, so that people can develop that connection, that dialogue between their minds and their bodies. What does my body want right here and now? And when I taught it live, I just have to tell you a little story if that's okay.
Please do.
When I taught it live, we had a wonderful athlete in the class who was very used to pushing his body. That's what athletes do, right? That's their business, really.
Mhm.
And he was having some trouble with the muscles in his legs, and yeah, he was giving them some heat and some massage and all the rest of it, but he wasn't really paying attention to it, or he wasn't talking to his legs, and they were still hurting. And when he talked to his legs, his legs said, "Just put your feet up, please. We
Oh,
just need some time, not don't the massage was intense and the heat and cold was intense. It's like, just let me sit for a minute." And he thought that was hilarious because he wouldn't have thought to do that. And,
yeah.
he came back to the class, it was a couple of days, and he said, I just didn't do anything. I put my feet up and I let the blood kind of flow, and he said, I feel so much better."
That is awesome. I love it. Well, I know that you do have this one class that you were talking about. What led you to even like create these classes and, start them?
Well, the workshop, which I'll be presenting at the conference, I'll be presenting what the workshop is about and a few of the exercises from it, which should be fun for the audience to get a little taste of that and try things out for themselves. The reason I started that particular course, the Medical Intuition for Healing and Self-Care, which is available to the public for everyone, is that both my students in the main program and doctors and clinicians who are calling me on behalf of their patients wanted something that they could give to their patients and their clients for them to start working on themselves. Because for healers, often people come and say, heal me, and they don't want to necessarily be part of that process. And we found that when people become part of that process, the healing really has an opportunity to expand and grow. And so I developed that. And also, uh, that particular workshop, I'll never forget. A group of nurses came to me when I used to teach down at Scripps Health in San Diego and as a guest there. And they said, we really want to do your main program, which is long. It's a year-long program. They said, but we need something right now that
Mhm.
we can use in the hospital. And that's really the genesis of that workshop. What can people do to protect their energy, to work with their energy, to work with their bodies, to let go of tension and all the stuff at the end of the day, or any time they want? And people love that. So I'm very pleased with being able to present that.
That is awesome. Well, actually, literally just the other day, a friend of mine asked me, she said, I have a new girlfriend and I would like to know how to teach her about self care. And she just happens to be in healthcare. And how could I do it? And I said, well, is she more logically minded or more free spirited? Because that's going to kind of come into play. You know what I mean? I want to be able to teach it in a way that she's able to receive it. I'm going to have to point this out. uh, to them. So I think that's pretty awesome that you have that resource available for, especially for people who are in the healthcare field or not, right? It's like,
It's for everyone. It's for
it's for,
everyone.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. That should be ready in about a month or so. We're still finishing up the last bits of it. It's an online self-study course. You can sign up for it. And by the way, everybody at the conference gets a discount, and we have a wait list discount as well. So please do come to the website and check it out.
That is awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for making that available for people. So your history is pretty extensive and I'd love to hear about what are some of the places that you have, spoken at and taught because it's not just a little thing, you know what I mean? Some of the integrative health conferences that are out there to other professionals and just go ahead and share with us about some of those if you don't mind.
I would be honored to, and frankly, it's an absolute honor to be presenting this material at universities and healthcare organizations. I'm a educational contributor to the Academy for Integrative Health and Medicine, which is a phenomenal organization for integrative healthcare. And I go to their conferences as well. And they've just embraced the idea of medical intuition as a valuable skill to integrate
Mhm.
into healthcare. I've spoken as it's kind of a long, long list, so it's probably better to go to my website and look, but I've been very blessed, and I speak on Gaia TV and the Shift Network and other places like that as well that public might have seen. It's just a Andrew Weil Center also, some people might have heard of that. I was very honored to teach at their integrative medicine elective rotation, which is a program for fourth-year medical students,
Wow.
right? And they loved the idea of this because when you get your head around the idea that medical intuition can help reveal and discover what have been medical mysteries, right? With
Mhm.
someone's physiology, someone's health. It really they really understand that it's a very powerful adjunct and support to any kind of healthcare.
Mhm.
So in the main program, which is called Medical Intuitive Training Practitioner Certification Program,
Mhm.
that is a one-year program in 2 levels.
Mhm.
And it's a very intensive program. We do everything live online on Zoom. So it's a participatory class, highly mentored, lots of practicum hours, and it's for wellness professionals of all kinds. And we get phenomenal outcomes with our graduates. And do you mind if I talk a little bit about some of the research I've done?
Yeah, please do. That was that I had. I was just looking at your website because there is a lot of great information on here. And for someone to understand like the legitimacy of how this is being embraced by not just, even mainstream healthcare, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the research is coming along. So yeah, we want to hear about that research.
I'll give you a little taste, and I'll talk more about it in the presentation at the conference. But the graduates of my program, in a study that was published in the Journal of Integrative and Complementary Medicine, we received between 94 and 98% accuracy rates. 94 and 98% accuracy rates in the location and evaluation of primary health issues, of life history that might have led to the health issues, of consistency with known diagnoses. And by the way, medical intuitives do not diagnose. That's only for licensed healthcare professionals. So what we do is we describe it, we explain it, and we say, take this to your doctor. Um, those numbers blew everybody away. And frankly, they blew us away. We were thrilled. And we're doing more research besides. More research is coming. And at the the National Organization for Medical Intuition, NOMI, and that website is nomimedicalintuition.org. That organization was started to continue research, to continue outreach, to get professional medical intuitives paired with clinics, hospitals, and the public. And we're working hard to make that happen. And I'll have information at the booth on NOMI as well.
That's awesome. I've got the link for that I can go ahead and share with you guys in the comments. Those of you who are watching on the replay, you should be able to access all of these links as well. But those of you who are watching live, you can stay with us if you want, and then go ahead and check back with those. But what an incredible accomplishment that you were able to get this organized. It really feels like you're quite a pioneer in this and helping to bring this to, I mean, the whole collective, really. So
It's a bit of a passion of mine, and there's a reason for that. I see in my work with clients, and I see clients all the time. And in my work with clients, I really started to understand, and I've been doing this work for about 20 years. I really started to understand a long time ago how challenging it is for people to get the help that they need. And also, there are, on the alternative and complementary side, there are so many options. Some are going to resonate more with your body than others. You can end up spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Western medicine aside, and by the way, I'm a fan of Western medicine. It saves lives.
yeah.
So it's not one or the other. We need to have all of it together in order to really have healthcare work for everyone.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's the thing that I like about this is that you're not compartmentalizing, all these different aspects of people. You're looking at it in a whole picture. Do you know what I mean? And I really value that a lot. In fact, somebody asked me once, why did you start doing the conferences? And yes, it was important for me to get the information out there to people who maybe didn't know about it. They didn't have an open mind to it. They just never had the exposure. But I also really felt inspired and passionate about helping that to be a bridge between traditional healthcare and the complementary modalities. When they are communicating and talking with each other, for the patient's ultimate, like, best good, I mean, everybody wins, right? So
That's the goal. Absolutely. And people can feel very beat up and abandoned by Western medicine. It's unfortunate. And even, their complementary healthcare people, if they can't find healing. And that, from my perspective, there's no reason for that. From my perspective, from what I've seen over the years, there's no reason for that. And when doctors call me on behalf of their patients, or they refer me to their patients, it's just such a joy to
yeah.
be able to offer what I can offer by, looking at the body. And now, there's some play in there. People have free will. They can choose to use it. They can choose to ignore it. However that works as well.
Yeah, for sure. So you have this book, which I feel like all of us have been on the edge of our seats waiting for. Tell me, why did you decide to write this book?
Because I couldn't find a book out there that really explained medical intuition in such a way that everybody could understand it Now, there are wonderful books out there on medical intuition. There really are. Carolyn Mace, Norm Shealy, Mona Lisa Schultz. So many people have written phenomenal books. And I didn't want to write a book about my process necessarily. I do explain my process in there, but what I wanted to do was talk about the history of medical intuition, and there is a rich history of this, going back to the late 1700s,
Wow.
and certainly well before that, in terms of intuitive healings and things like that.
Mhm.
But it really began in the late 1700s through the 1800s. And there's a lot of fascinating information there. And I also wanted to look at the research and see what had been researched about intuition in medicine, medical intuition specifically. And that was one of the things that I was like, I got to do some more research here, because there wasn't enough of it. But there is some good nuggets in there.
Yeah.
And that's really why I wrote the book. And what I'm so pleased with is that it's become a bit of a textbook at a few different universities. And that's really what I was hoping for. I wanted it to be readable and fun for the public. There's lots of case studies and interesting stuff there. But I really wanted to see if the medical providers, professionals could get their head around it. And, so far, so good. We've had some great responses from some of the top integrative folks in the country, and on it goes.
It's so powerful. Well, I was going to ask you, where do people get that book, but I just found it. It is on your website, and there's a link that takes them directly to the Amazon link,
Yes.
and along with your other books as well. But this latest one that we're basically, the one that you're talking about right now, it's called The Essentials of Medical Intuition: A Visionary Path to Wellness.
Yes. And I want to point out that we will be doing some book signings at the conference, at the booth, and I will be bringing books with me as well. So if you want to buy a book at the conference, I will sign it for you, and we can do that.
That is awesome. I love it. So this is so powerful. And so people can actually buy the book from you at the conference. They don't have to
Yes.
pre-order it, get it, then
No.
bring it to the conference and everything. Okay. That is awesome to know that. I love that. And there's some really great books that are listed right here on your website next to the one that you have on, where it says some of our favorite books. You have Midge Murphy's book, and she came and spoke with us last year. Uh,
Yes, she's wonderful.
she is. I agree. In fact, that was a hugely, wildly popular class. There was literally like not even like room to go in because there was standing room all the way around. Um,
Wow.
can imagine that's how yours is going to be as well. Now, do you remember what time are you speaking?
Saturday, 3 o'clock, I think, is my slot.
In the big stage room,
Yeah.
you guys. That's where you're going to want to go to find her. So that's fabulous. Thank you so much for your support at this conference, and thank you for agreeing to come this time. Where can people find out more about your programs and your classes and stay connected with you, even if they're not able, to come to this particular event?
Absolutely. Thepracticalpath.com, 3 words altogether, thepracticalpath.com. There's information about the level 1 and level 2 medical intuitive training programs. Those are taught twice a year. We have one coming up in the fall, so anybody who's watching this live who's interested, go check it out. And we have, we're available to answer any questions as well. You can also talk to me at the booth. Myself and my wonderful assistant, Nicole, will be there, and we can answer any questions for you about the main program, about the workshop that's coming, and about the book or anything else about National Organization for Medical Intuition. And by the way, if I didn't mention this before, at the National Organization for Medical Intuition, if you just want to support us, please become a supporting member. Anybody can be a supporting member, and we really welcome your support there, because as far as I know, everybody that understands medical intuition really wants to see it integrated into healthcare. And that's what we're working on here.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Well, quick little personal story. My grandmother was a nurse for 40 years. She was born in 1928, so it's then as soon as she was old enough to go to nursing school, she did. And I grew up. I was her only daughter's oldest daughter, and so I feel like I got a little bit of privy time with her, even though we lived outside of the state. She made it. matter of, priority to come and see us regularly. And I just, I feel like my grandma was probably somewhat of a medical intuitive, it wasn't her first thing just to go to the medicine cabinet and grab out a bunch of pills. First of all, she would have us do things like, for example, for a sore throat, she'd have us do like a yoga pose, like a lion's pose or something, or she'd do
Wow.
some reflexology or gargle with some cayenne pepper. She would go to some of these more natural type of things. And then only if that stuff didn't work, then, she would go ahead and do something else. But I just feel like my grandma wasn't alone. There are so many in the healthcare field who really, like, they have such an open mind, and it's not just like a one size fits all for health. And so I am so excited. This is like one of the reasons why I've been following your journey, is because I geek out on people who really trust their heart and they have the courage to follow it. So I know you don't need any accolades from me or anything like that, but I would be like remiss if I didn't just tell you just how grateful I am for your courage. And I'm so excited. Like, this is, for me, this is like, I feel like I get off the phone with you and I like jump up and down. I'm just so excited. So thank you.
Tammy, thank you. Thank you so much. And, I just have to say to everyone here and to you, thank you so much for what you do. This conference, I've seen it grow over the years. It's so impressive and so inspiring. And I really feel that we are at a wonderful point in society where people are starting to really embrace the idea of mind, body, spirit, and the energy and the biofield and all of this. And I'm one of a large group of people who are really trying to push this forward in medicine, because everybody in the public loves it. We know they love it. We know they get value out of it, and the medical world has been very tight for a long time, but we're starting to see this change, and that is one of the reasons I get excited by your excitement.
Yeah.
Because we really need this. And so, everybody who comes to the conference, we can think of ourselves as pioneers. We can think of ourselves as pushing the ball forward and really, for what's to come, 50 years from now, energy medicine, maybe even 5 years,
All right.
maybe tomorrow, we'll
Well,
have, we'll start to see this even more incorporated.
well, it is about the supply and demand. And I think that that has a big part of why that is, being softened or more open.
Oh,
So
without question. Think about it. Um, you know, 20, 30 years of, yoga and meditation and all of these wonderful, I think every town has a little yoga studio in it,
yeah,
right? And people are starting to not feel like it's so weird and left of center.
yeah.
Intuition's another story. That's still a little on the woo-woo side. Uh, but we're trying to demystify that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, me too. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks everyone for being here with us. We'll see you at the conference.